Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. Sulaiman Rahim here, Messenger of the Covenant, breaker of the seven seals. 1 second here. Welcome. Let's bring in our audio audience. This is the Black Alert segment of the Fire Zone. Welcome. Brothers and sisters, a few topics I'm going to discuss today. First, I want to talk about thought. One second, brothers and sisters. 1 second here. We talk about thought. You need to understand what thought is, brothers and sisters. See, thought is pressure. See, force and pressure is the same thing. It's just force spread out. That's what pressure is. That's what thought is, because thought makes things happen. That's what force does. Without force, nothing happens. Without thought, nothing happens. And this reality that we live in came into existence by thought. By thought. See? This is basically Western thought. See? European thought, the reality we live in right now. See? Before that, we was living in a different reality, but right now, we live in the reality, right, that came from the thought pressure waves of the Western mind. Because thought is pressure. And pressure produces waves that changes things. Because waves move things, they change things. So they came into existence 6,000 years ago, and this reality you see is a result of that. See? What about your thought? What about the thought of other people? Well, they have control of other people's thoughts. See? Because they're taking a given form, but they're using your energy, your thoughts, to give form to their thoughts. You understand that? Because prior to 600 years ago, the main thought on the planet was all based on religion. Religion was driving the thought of virtually everyone on the planet. But religion is philosophy, trying to understand how things work, trying to get explanations of how things work, how we came to be, how the universe came to be, what causes, right, things to happen. See, and so everyone had since you had all the nations are different, have different perspectives, you had different religions, different perspectives on what's things happening. See, how things work. Different perspectives. They weren't facts. They was just philosophy, because not one of those religions produce any type of technology or anything that was useful. Not any of them, not one of them, because they were only philosophies that people told you that they were facts, that they were realities. They were not realities. Real, that's the base of reality. They were not realities. They were just philosophies. But people saw that. You had certain people, vipers saw that, and they said, oh, we can use this to control people. So we tell them that these things are real. See, these philosophies are real. They're coming from some superior being, some superior reality, some superior dimension. And we control them by that. So they became priests, imams, reverends, and so forth and so on. See, monks that receive their power from this special reality, this ultra reality, this extra reality, right? And so, and you're supposed to listen to them, and then they control you. That's the way the world was operating prior to about 500 years ago. See, because even in Europe, that was ruled by the Catholic Church, and Middle East by Sunnism. Two religions in conflict with each other. And then the West did something remarkable. See, they came up with the idea of separation of church and state. They pushed the church aside. See, and the state was supposed to be based on not religion, but facts, realities. Let me say it another way. Logic, reason. That was the idea. I mean, it didn't turn out that way. That was the idea, and that devolved into mathematics. So once they got in touch with mathematics, it changed everything, because mathematics subdued all the religions, all of them. It proved that they was wrong, they was false, because you was able to bring things into reality from mathematics. You was bring technologies from mathematics. See, there's more to it than that, because you have to have the source. Yet before you can be technician, can't do anything without the architect. You see, a blueprint. So when you put those things together, because they're technicians, Europeans are technicians by nature. See, but every nation had a different aspect, right? Had different qualities. See, the creative side came from the original people, because they're the creators. See, they had the ideas, right? The blueprints, the creative. See, that's why in Revelation you got for the creatures, they was created. And then you got another one that wasn't. It was the Spirit of God. See, read it carefully. You got four, right? The lion, the calf, face of man, the eagle. They were all created, called them creatures, because they were created. But then you had another one, right? And it was the seven spirits of the God. Because all of them had 7 wings, but this was 7 spirits of the God. So they was, because if you're the spirit of the God, you're the God. They was creative. So when they brought that in, when they combined that with their technical abilities, we're talking about America, all this innovation came in. Just exploded. Because where you get all the innovation from? Here in America. Because you got the creators and the technicians here together. Technicians can't do anything without creativity. But you can't say is without the be. You have to say be and then is. You can't say is then be. See, that's a secret they don't want you to know, because we are the creators. We have the creativity. That's why all the creativity and innovations come out of America. It's not coming out of Germany. It's not coming out of France. It's not coming out of China. It's not coming out of India. It's coming out of right here, because you brought all these things together. See? But both are thought. Both are pressure. It's just two types of pressure. You got analytical pressure and spatial pressure. See? You put two together, you got creativity. See? You bring things, innovation, I should say innovation, because creativity is just creativity. Unless you have that, you need a technician. Creativity is the be. The technician is the is. And the two together, you get innovation, technology. See? So you have to understand that. So the thing is that who has the most, and thought is, and that's mathematics. Everything is mathematics. That's the true reality. That's what they prove, because they have all these other religions. There's a philosophy. They're on their knees. They're all on their knees to innovation, to technology, to mathematics. Every one of them. Every one of them is a submission to that. See? You see, China broke free of their encumbrance because they got rid of religion. They're going all the way mathematics, but they don't have the creativity there. But they borrow the creativity from America, right? Because they're technical, and they're even more technical than Europeans are. See, so therefore because they haven't come up with any innovation, they just take, and they're very creative, even more so creative, right? Even more creative than the Europeans are. I mean, not more creative, more technical. You understand these things. But the point is that the creators are inactive. They're giving their creativity, right, to the technicians, and technicians is using that creativity to control them. Using that to control the creators. They're using their own creativity to control them with. Because you don't want to think. See? You don't want to think. You don't want to start putting that thought into action. Because we have, okay, let's put it this way. I didn't mean to get this deep into this, brothers and sisters. But it says, how do you say it? Well, let me put it my way. See, we got married to how should I say it? An enemy, put it that away, because I don't think I'm gonna touch this lightly, brothers and sisters, right? Because this gets a lot of complications here. Okay. The God is, okay. You have two sides of the brain. You have the technical side, analytical side, or spatial side, analytical side. But the spatial side keeps the analytical side in check, because the analytical side is wicked by nature. That's why it says, right, the heart is desperately wicked. Who could know it? That's also reflection on on the technical side. So the technical side has to be under control, has to be restrained. And since our creation, that's always been the case. But during this time of energy deprivation, the last 50,000 years, right, when the universe is full expansion, right? Because everything came from us. Gender came from us. So at this point, we personified both sides to the case where once we have people that were predominantly spatial, like 90% spatial and 10% technical, analytical, and others predominantly analytical, 9% analytical, and 10% spatial. But just as when we separated the gender, right, we had some that was 90%, because it was genderless. Once we made that separation, I'm going into details of it, you had part was 90% male and 10% female, because we have breasts. Male has breasts, they don't need them, because we was one being at one time, right? So we have 10% female in us, so we can communicate with the female. And the female has 10% male, so she can communicate with us. Otherwise, we'd be totally separate from each other. That's not the word I wanted to use. But anyway, but the side effect of that process is we had some people that was 100% male, 100% female. See, and we had to get rid of them because there was no communication. See, and it was useless. So that was another. That was something that we had to do. So that comes back to I'm saying that because it brings back to where we are right now. See, because in that process, see, Dr. Shabazz, he started the process off by taking and emphasizing the spatial to the detriment of the analytical, and so he ended up with us was 90% spatial, 10% analytical. And then Dr. Yakub came in, he did reverse. He emphasized the analytical, right, and de-emphasized to the detriment or de-emphasized the recessive or the analytical, and so the spatial. So he had somebody at 10% analytical, 9% analytical and 10% spatial. But as a result of that, you had some that was 100% analytical, and as a result of Dr. Shaba's process, 100% spatial, which is a problem for both. See? So a spatial person is like, and the mathematics they're saying is right, but they're useless. Because they say, well, I ain't gonna do anything. I'm gonna let Jesus do it for me. See, I just pray. See, that's 100% spatial mind operating. See, and there's some truth to what he's saying, but it's not Jesus. Means just things will happen. This things gonna happen, right? I don't want to go into deep in that because that kind of confuse people. And then you got down the analytical. That's 100% analytical, right? See, and it 100% technical, right? They take charge of everything. See, but they have no sense of consequence. I'm getting to a lot of areas. If those of you have been listening to presentations, then you keep up with this. I'm gonna cut it short here. But the bottom line is that the Europeans fall in that category of 100% analytical. No sense of consequence. That's what says no fear of God before their eyes, because we understand God in the proper sense. That's mathematics. There's no fear of it. There's no fear of consequence. But they're highly technical. Highly technical, which is dangerous. See? And so we got mixed up. We took them for a bride. See, they boys over here, they kidnapped us, and so that's the problem, because they're taking they need our spatial for innovation. That's why it's all come from here, right? But they're against us. They really can't even communicate with us. There's the only kind of communicate to us is very detrimental to us anyway, is hostile. They hate us. See, they don't understand. Usually you don't understand stuff, you hate it. Because they can't communicate with us. They don't understand us. So that's where the demons come in. See, they raped our women that produced demons that could understand us. Because that's their seed, but they look like us, talk like us, and they could understand us. But their mindset is towards their daddies. See? But they infiltrate us, and they can take our innovation, they take our creativity and give back to Master. That's the blueprints that he can take and create all this innovation. But they're enemy to us because they're 100% technical. And there's no spatial restraints for them. See, like a governor, inhibitor. You need that spatial inhibitor. But the ones that had that, who are they? That's the Iranians and the Syrians, and like Master Muhammad, because they're called his rod of iron. See, that's our true bride. That's what we're talking about, the marriage supper of the Lamb. See, that's what we're talking about in Revelation. See, because we're married to a true bride. See, because they're 90% technical, but 10% spatial, so it's under control. It's, right? See, and we communicate with each other, and then we can have a healthy relationship and build a new kingdom, a whole new kingdom that's totally different than anything they've ever seen that will last forever. Now, I hope I didn't confuse anybody there. But the bottom line, I'm trying to tell you is that you hooked up the wrong bride. You hooked up the wrong bride, and you don't know it. See? And she got nothing but hatred for you, but she needs you, right? It's like you're married to a woman, right? And and she needs you, but she hates you. You see, so you gonna get all that hatred, right? But she ain't gonna leave you because she needs you, and she ain't gonna let you go. She needs you. See, they won't tell you that they need you. That's why they won't let you go. They hate you so much. So why don't let you go out of here? Why don't they let you go back home? You say, oh, I could just get on a passport and leave. Yeah, you can do that, but where you gonna go? They give you severance for what they did to you. They supposed to make you whole, put you back where you came from, right? Put you back in your land, connect you back with your people. Can you do that? You know you can't. So that's not going. That's not letting free. You're not free. Hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. But that's going to happen soon. See, because that's the marriage supper of the Lamb. So you'll be married to a true bride. Right now, you're married to somebody that hates you, but they need you. They hate you, but they need you. That's the gold and silver. They said that we're talking about metals. We're the gold and silver here. And like one sister said, we're the spirit of America, and we are. We gave him the spirit. Just look at the music, for instance, itself. Are you listening to Chinese music? Are you listening to Indian music? Are you listening to German music? Or what music is the world listening to? Our music. We get his spirit. We get innovation. It says, by our seed, true seed Abraham, all nations were blessed. All nations were blessed because we talk about that. And I just want you to understand, you got to start thinking, brothers and sisters. But you've been trained not to think. It took 64 years to do it, from 1555 to 1619, to stop you from thinking, to make you a Negro butt. That means you just do what Master tells you to do. You don't think. See? You just do. And they can plug into you. They find out, and that's what the demons are. They're children. They're black-faced children, right? They communicate back and forth with you because Master couldn't. And tap into your innovation, your creativity, and take it back to Master. Hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. I'm gonna cut that short because we got a lot of few things to talk about, and I really it's a lot of this there's a lot more I want to talk about on this, but we're gonna move on. Hold on for a second here, brothers and sisters. See what's going on here with is working okay? Yes, it's working okay. Okay, okay, brothers and sisters, let's move over here. Now, recycling. Now, what does recycling mean? See, that's a normal process of our environment, our biological environment. See, because we eat food, right? We eat food and water, and we turn into piss and shit, right? And then what the earth do? The earth takes, right, and converts that back into positive energy, into like fertilizer and whatever, right? And then someone comes along and converts that back to food again, and then we eat it again. So that process continues. And that's general, right? Recycling. Well, some people say, well, they can just shorten the process. They say, okay, you eat, you drink, you're turning in shit and piss, right? And the earth takes and converts it. The sun, the sun converts the water, clean the water up. The earth cleans up, turn into fertilizer, right? And then what you do is you take and you use that to turn back into food again, right, and water, and then you eat it and so forth. So that's a short method. Recycling. This process has many applications. See, because every nation, right, produces waste. Oh, he's using waste. He's not using no bad words. Waste, right? And then that waste has to be recycled somehow, be converted to some kind of form of energy that can be transformed back into food again that or materials that a nation can use. So a nation takes in materials, right? Is using materials. As a result, there's waste. The waste has to be converted to a form of energy that can be converted back into useful tools that the nation uses again. So that's basic, right? But we got a special process going on here. Because in America, you don't pay attention to these things. In America, they take the food and the good things out of the environment, right? And they turn it into shit. See, because you got two nations here together. See, you're not supposed to have that. Everybody got their own nation, their own people, but they got the special hybrid situation here because they brought us over here. There's never been another nation displaced like that from one nation and displaced, a whole nation displaced from their country to another country and been in prison there. That's never happened before. They got, what happened to, no, that didn't happen to false Israel. They even they told Jesus that never happened to us. And even if it did, just go back and look at the map. Look at where Palestine is, what they claim is their homeland. Look where Egypt is. They're right next door to each other. Literally, there's nothing in between the two. Nothing. It's like the border, the northern border of New York and southern border of Canada. They're right next to each other. So how would you consider that a foreign land? See? So they took them and grabbed them and took them over to Egypt, right? That's what. So that was displacement, really? That's BS. And then it says when they came out, they had to cross. Why would they have to cross the river? Just walk across the. Why would they have to cross the river? I was saying, okay, when you come back to America, you got to go. You got to go through the Atlantic Ocean first. Well, you got to just walk across the border. That shows right there that wasn't them. They had to cross the Red Sea to get back. Why just cross the border? They're right next to each other. There's no water between them. That sure was a lie. Okay, so we had a situation here. This place over here, right? About nearly 500 years ago, got two nations here, and they operate and recycle. They got their own special recycle routine because they're taking the food, good food and all that stuff, all the positive benefits, and they turn it into shit or what other waste products, right? And the waste products, they give it to us. And we're supposed to transform it into positive energy, which gives back to them, and they turn it back into shit. Give it us, and we turn it back into positive, because that's what slavery was all about. It was an economic system. So they take, and they would, just like just eating, right? They didn't feed us. We was raising pigs and hogs and cows and everything for them, but we didn't eat that. They gave us the shit from the pigs. That's what hog maws and shitlins are. That's what they call it, with an S, because that's what it is. Because that's what they used to throw away when they slaughtered the hog. That's used to throw it away, even in the cows. Some of the shitlins you got, some cows, you was lucky, right? See, because some of the shitlins, all it was from pork, some was from cows. See, because that's the part they would throw away. No, that stuff when they killed, slaughtered, that stuff they would throw away. They said, no, we didn't throw it away. We give it to the niggas. See, that was a recycling process. So basically, we was turning shit to gold, and they give them to them, and they take the gold and turn it back to shit and give it to us. And that's the process we've been going through since we've been here. We're still going that process right now. That's recycling process. Hold on for a minute, brother and sister. A little disturbance here. Okay, and like I've been trying to explain to you for quite a while, 30 years to be exact, that process is still going on. See, because slavery was the economics side of what happened to us. There's nothing about rape, murder, uh, um, oppression. That has nothing to do with slavery. Slavery is the economic system. That's the economic part of it. So you can slave person, you have to do all of that. You see? So they call slavery, try to whitewash it, to clean it up. Like this CRT. Oh, well, critical race. It wasn't a theory. Try calling the Holocaust a theory and see what happens to you. It wasn't no theory. They're trying to clean up. They didn't want to tell the children what they was doing, how they acted, and what they're still doing right now. This process is still going on. It's just upgraded. It's just upgraded. They give better names. Let's look at that clearly. Okay, you're back you're back in chains in the fields, right? So you got a mule to get you back out to the fields. You got a little raggedy shack that got you in, right, with no floor on it, right? You eating chitlins, right? You get one pair of shoes every year. That's all they gave you. You know, if you don't believe me, like I said, I don't ask you. We prove everything. You know, check out Oprah. I'm not one of her fans, but the thing is, she got a thing called the slave letters out there, and they scribed this stuff because they went and grabbed all the slaves they could back in the 20s before all of them were expired. They found all the ones they could have that were still a part of that institution. And they told me, and they interviewed them, and they were saying these things. Got one pair of shoes. Every while you walk barefoot. Don't tell me people didn't walk barefoot because I witnessed it myself. Because I got relatives down in Roxborough, North Carolina, and they used to walk around outside with shoes off. It didn't work for me. They trying to get me to do that. It didn't work for me, but they was doing it. So this is basically what was going on. And you had to get permission, right? You had to get permission to be with each other. Be intimate. Why do you think they came with a marriage license? You had to get a marriage license. Because fornication was against the law. You got caught doing that. So you had to be married. And you had to get a marriage license. You had to get approved from master to get married. And he wasn't giving that approval to you. Because he had a process of, first of all, if you wanted to be with someone, right? That's no straw together, bro. Bottom line is that I hate to use that term and everything, but if you was a black female slave, he's the one that was his right to break you in. See, he took your virginity from you. That's the way that went. I'm not going into detail about that, brothers and sisters. And you had no right to touch her unless master said so. And as a consequence of that, most of the children was born back then was master's children. That's why right now, the angel tells us that out of 34 million black people in America, only 17 million of them are original. The rest of them are slave masters' children, whose hearts are towards slave masters. That's where you got the problem you have right now, because they the ones causing division in our community. They're the ones causing division and everything, right? Because they're masters' children, but they're a plague to us. Remark, they're a plague, because they got us working against ourselves. They got us hurting ourselves. See, because we can't recognize them. See, they're the ones in master's house. We used to call them house Negroes. They're the ones in master's house. They're the ones on TV, right? Movies, politics, economics, education. They're the ones in control. They're master's house. You ain't gonna get anywhere near there. See, and they don't always speak for master. They don't ever speak for you. They might speak for other demons, but they ain't speaking for you. See, last time they heard a voice that spoke for you, they made sure they shut that voice down. You never heard from it anymore. That was Malcolm. They said, I never let that voice come out again. Anyway, so let's go back to, like, say, okay, here you are, right? The master comes and says, okay, boy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start giving you some money. And that raggedy shack you got, you can pay me for it. Right? I'm going to give you enough money to pay for that, get enough money to pay for those shitlins that I've been giving you. See? I'll give you enough money to get you transportation out to the field. Enough money to buy the raggedy clothes that you're wearing. You get the picture? Just enough to buy those things. So now you're not a slave, you got a job. I got a job, man, I'm getting paid. But your situation hasn't changed not one bit, because the money you got is just enough to pay exactly what you had before. You're still in the same situation. See? You're still in the same situation you was before. And you still can't have anything to do with Sally, because Joe got to get a marriage license. She got to get master's permission. Nothing's changed. Nothing changed. Only thing changed was they psych your mind out. Just upgrades. Now I'm free, man. I got a job. Now bring it forward to 2022. What's the difference? What's the difference? Tell me the difference. Now you got a car to get back and forth to work. How much? And you got to pay for that car. You got to pay mass for that car, payments and everything. Now how much? I mean, what percentage is that car used for your personal benefit? What percentage of it? Ain't 90% used for master wants you to do, getting back and forth to the job and so forth, and taking care of your other business master wants you to take care of? Isn't it? What about the food? The food you get, right? Where you get the money to pay for that? You got to work for master to get the money to pay for that. If you don't work for master, you don't get it. And on those jobs, you don't have no voice on those jobs. You don't have no democracy on those jobs. You don't vote. Because that's master. He got what they call them? What they call those guys? What they call them back when he was in the field? Taskmasters or whatever. He's your taskmaster. He said, "What do he fire your ass? Now you can't eat. Now you can't sleep. Now you can't buy. You can't pay for all the other stuff." What the hell has changed? I got me a car. Yeah, what you use a car for to get back and forth to masters, to the field. It just upgraded because master got richer. So now instead of eating scraps, you're eating dog food now. Or maybe you got a little better, you get hamburger, but you're still a dumb dog under master control with a leash around your neck. I got a mortgage. Yeah, right. And where you get the money to pay for that mortgage at? Who you paying the mortgage to? And you don't get it? Nothing's changed. Just how they psych your mind out. Because you're still under master control. You're still in the field. You're still in plantation America. Why do you think they call the place that you work plants? Why do they call it a plant? It look like a flower to you? But you still don't get it. So the bottom line is to just cut to the chase here, right? See, if you understand mathematics, everything balances. What's on one side of the equation, other side of the equation. So think about this for a second. $1 million, just think of a second, because I know most of you can't wait to get back to NFL and NBA statistics, right? $1 million gold mine is worth $1 million shit farm. Think about that a minute now. If you had the ability to think, $1 million gold mine is worth $1 million shit farm, because you can sell both of them for $1 million. That's what they're worth. See, you got this shit farm, and they got the gold mine. See, and what you're doing is you turning shit to gold, and they turn the gold back to shit. So you're getting the shit part of it, and they're getting the gold part of it. That's where it's been ever since you've been here. That's where it's been ever since you've been here. That's recycling that's going on. That's where I want you to leave. Because if you leave, this whole place would turn to a shithole. That's what happened in Europe. They went for 1,000 years. They was locked up in Europe. Read chapter 20 again. That's European history. That's nothing about some future millennia, right? They was locked down by the resurrected Abrahamic Empire, which was Prophet Muhammad. That was the resurrection, because they don't tell you the truth about that. Abraham built that stuff over there. He built Mecca. He built the Kaaba. He built Medina. He built all that. They don't tell you that, because they don't want you to see the connection between Islam and Abraham. And Prophet Muhammad just resurrected. He didn't change it. He didn't create Islam. He just resurrected with the Abraham Islamic Empire. That's all he did. That's the resurrection took place. And it forced the Europeans down in the block. They had them locked up in the locked up in Europe for 1,000 years. Remember the Crusades? They kept trying to fight their way out. And they was finally able to do that for 1,000 years. And then they went and covered the whole earth. I mean, come on, brothers and sisters. This is ABC stuff. 2 + 2 = 4 stuff. They went out and covered the whole earth. That's exactly what happened. And now I said they would cover, go back, and after a season, they would go back and they would circle the holy place or the holy cities. That's the Middle East, where they are right now. It said, bring fire out of heaven inside of men. The skies are dark over there with drones, firing hellfire missiles down on people's heads. Come on, brothers and sisters. Be real. They keep telling you that's the trick. That's to deceive the whole world. That's a trick. Because they're telling you scriptures, which is your foresight. They're telling you it's hindsight. That's how they blinded you. Because all that stuff is foresight. It's happening now or it's going to happen. It's like Exodus. If you read Exodus, you write him out, you flush out Farrakhan right away. Because you know he's Aaron. He's the one that comes after Elijah. And he deceives the people, confuses the people. And he ends up getting all his people killed. It's right there. But they don't want you to see it that way because then you flush him out. That's what it's all about, brothers and sisters. See? So we have to break that process up, because as long as we stay in that recycling routine process, we can always get the shit. And I said $1 million gold farm is $1 million gold mine is equal to $1 million shit farm. So in other words, if you're blessed with $1 million a day, and they blessed with $1 million a day, right? But they on the positive side of you, the negative side, where you getting $1 million worth of shit every day. As far as nature is concerned, mathematics, you're fine, because you're getting $1 million. That's what you accept that form. It's still $1 million, but you're accepting that form. And as long as you're here, you're going to accept that form, because that's the way they do it. Because they take, like I said, when they was locked up in Europe, they turned it into a shithole. Europe was a shithole. It was disease, tyranny, oppression, everything. That was a total shithole. That's why they're trying to escape. After 1,000 years, trying to escape. They're breaking out. They found a way to break out 1,000 years. The place was a total shithole. That's why they came here taking everybody's stuff, because they had nothing. Because they're shit makers. They create shit. They cannot create gold. And they looked over us, and we was creating gold. And this thing, what did they do? They went out looking for gold everywhere, didn't they? They went everywhere looking for gold. And innovation and everything else. And they saw us over here, all this, we was gold, and we was healthy in Africa. We was doing well in Africa, was healthy, was intelligent, healthy, and smart. And they grabbed us, brought over here, and then they changed the whole thing, and they gave us the shit and told us to turn into gold, right? Get on that farm, turn into gold. So now they was eating good and everything else. Nice. We built a nice mansion and everything for them. See, they was getting all the gold. And they was giving us all the shit. And as long as you accept that, stay here with them, that's the recycling situation you're going to get, and that's all you're going to have. And you look at the demons, they're getting a part of that too, because they're eating off us, they're getting part of the gold too. So they keep telling you, if you keep working hard, you keep taking this shit, then you be like them one day, you're never going to happen. Because they need you to transfer their shit into gold. They need you to do that. But now you got another problem. See, because now they went to AI age, they're making robots, see, so they don't need Negro butts anymore. I went to Walmart the other day, and there was no counters open, not one, zero. I'm at zero. So now I had to go and check stuff out myself. You understand what's going on? So now they don't need you to convert their shit to gold anymore. They don't have robots do it. They don't need Negro butts anymore. So what's going to happen to you? What happened to you when they need you in the fields no more? They tell you, they freed you. No, they didn't no longer need you. That's why they freed you. Because they went from the agricultural age to the industrial age. So machines and stuff do the things you was doing before. That's why they let you go. They give you anything. They give you severance pay. They give you severance pay. They give you 40 acres of mule. They give you anything. No, they throw your ass in the ditch. You had no place to stay, nothing to eat, anything. Because the master, you ain't going to serve me. So you get off the plantation. What was you going to do? You're starving. People are starving. They don't talk about that. That's why I went back to sharecropping. It was the exact same thing I said earlier they had before, only now it was getting paid. Exact same thing. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. So if you will keep, You keep on, you willing to keep on eating the shit and transform it into gold for them? Then continue. See, that's your fate here in America if you stay here. That's why you have to leave. That's why I said to God, come and take you out. So then you start eating milk and honey. Land Florida milk and honey. So that's not here. Pharaoh said, we ain't going nowhere. There's no milk and honey here. This whole place is right now is almost barren. That's why didn't tell you they exporting most of their fertilizer from Russia. What does it tell you? It means they don't have no topsoil here anymore. They've ruined it. They turned this shit into they damn near turn American shithole now. And you want 6 states in here? Come on, brothers and sisters. See, we're going home. You got a choice. Abrahamic covenant, read it. They don't want you to know about that. That's why I ain't talk about it no more. The last person that talked about openly, aside myself, was Martin Luther King. What happened to him? The next day, blew his brains out. Read the Promised Land speak. What was he talking about? He wasn't talking about 6 states here. He said, we're going back home. He just met Elijah Muhammad. And then he came out and they told him, no gas speech. He did it, blew his health the next day. Be real, brothers and sisters. Let's move on, brothers and sisters. Well, that's not right. Hold on. Okay. Diversity. Okay, brothers, so let me move something over here. Make a little small change here. Now, America's talking about diversity. See, they got a thing about taking their weaknesses and their defects and make them a virtue. See, so make you think like they came and they killed all the people. The people they stole his land from the people. They said that's the promised land. So in other words, it's a virtue because they was supposed to that because of the promised land. So they was getting rid of riffraff. See, and they didn't steal it because it was promised land. I mean, how could we steal it if God promised it to them? And they're getting rid of the people, right? That was a virtue because, hey, those people were heathens, and they was on God's land that God promised to us. So they turned it so it wasn't a bad thing. It was the good thing they did. And it brings over here because we the seed of Shem. You understand? Who was Ham, and so we was cursed to be slaves, was cursed blacks. How became black when Adam and Eve was white, right? And Noah was white. So how did they become black? That's what they tell the children. But it's critical race theory. That's it. They changing it. But that's what they telling you for 400 years. The stuff they talking about critical race theory, they was teaching their children for 400 years. Now they don't want their children to know what's going on because now the truth is coming out. Now it's a theory. How did they become black, Mom? Oh man, well they was cursed black. That's the story they was telling them. See, they was cursed black because Noah's son did a bad thing, and so God cursed Noah, and God cursed him, right? And so his seed, his descendants after him will be black forever. He was cursed black, and they'd be slaves forever. So in other words, brings over here, that wasn't a bad thing. See, because we was evil people. We was cursed by God and Noah. You see what's going on? So, the guys over here, that's like guys, maintain their defects into virtues. Same thing here. See, the thing is, remember, we are creativity. They're the technicians. See. But, see, they can't control their technology because that comes from the creative side. The technicians just build it. It's creators, they operate it. It comes from their mind. They also operate it because, I'm a technician. Okay, you tell them, okay, give me the blueprint to build something, but he don't know how to operate it. He just know how to build it because you gave him the blueprint. Because you know how to operate it because you don't want your design, your creation. You say, well, you came with the idea of a car, right? So you know how the brakes and everything work, all this stuff, because that's your idea. But you give it to the technician, he builds it. So he put this stuff in, like you told me, follow he followed all the technical, the technical side. He followed all the specs, right? But he don't know how to operate it. They don't even know what he might even know what it does. All he knows is he built it, and then you operate it. See, so what's happening here is that they got ideas that show you that this wasn't from them to begin with, because they got all these ideas, innovation, but they don't know how to control it. They don't know what to do with it. It's confusing to them. And they don't want us to control it. Because I'll be obvious that we the ones that created and that we the ones in control. So it's out of control with them. So what they do? They start bringing people in, right? They have some creativity power in, like Indians and everybody else. They come and they bring them in here, right? To operate it. That's the diversity. That's why they have diversity. No, that's why they have diversity, because they can't control their own reality they brought into existence. This innovation, they can't control it. They don't understand it. Every time they get a hand on some of the stuff they come up with, they'll make it worse. I know you experienced that. You get a cell phone working fine. They cut a new model, damn, you can't know what the hell the damn thing is doing. Doesn't even work as bad as first one. Because when they get their hands on it, they confuse it. Because they turn gold into shit. We let them do it, and they saw that, and so what they do? Now they got to bring Indians and everybody else over here to try to operate this thing and make it work. Because they can't. They can build it, but they don't know how to make it work. They can't operate it. So that's why they have all this diversity. Diversity is good. That's why they need it. Because if they're so great, why won't they just? Why do they need other people to come in? If they're the superior race, right? I mean, it's like Europe. If they're superior in everything, superior technology and everything else, they didn't have any technology. Remember when they was in dark ages? But still, if they were superior, how can they change Europe into a shining example, man, a paradise or whatever? No, they turned into a shithole. Everybody was trying to get out of there. And every place they went, they found peace and prosperity and everything else. They didn't find war and fighting and disease and stuff. And they wiped out most of the American, so-called Native Americans, that's not a bad name, but the indigenous people, by just a common code. You understand? So diversity is what they need, because they can't control the stuff they got. And they don't want to admit that they come and get it from us. And they sure ain't gonna let us control it. So we get innovation and say, man, they tell us how to build a car. What the hell are we gonna do with it? See? Some of those students might say, we just have to push the thing. Maybe tie a horse up to it. I know y'all experience it. They make it, don't know what the hell they make it worse. Then they got to get these other people in, has a great high level of creativity to come in and show them how to operate this stuff and what to do with it. Look at that. You look at some of your top corporations, and they don't have Europeans in charge of it. Look at this Twitter thing. Now they got an Indian in charge of it. They couldn't find a white person or a black. They didn't going to let a black person run it. We're coming out that could run that damn thing. They bring somebody from India. What about what was Apple? The iPhone, that was the guy from Syria. Jobs or whatever his name was, Steve Jobs. But you understand what I'm saying? But see, this is their downfall, because when you put something under pressure, right? Unless it's homogeneous, it's probably going to collapse, because you're going to have weaker and strong elements in there. And the pressure going to find a weaker element and crush. That means the whole thing fall apart, because all these pieces fit together. Unless they're all equally strong, the pressure going to find the weakest one, and that collapse is going to cause everything else to collapse behind it. See that diversity they talking about right now? By within the next 12 months, they're going to hate it, because it's going to cause more trouble in America. Because the Bible tells you that if you found out of your country, anyone found a country, they'd be cut to pieces. Anyone found outside their country is an alien, we cut to pieces. You're gonna have a race. When I say race war, I talk about race war between blacks and white. No, it's gonna be a total race war. See, I told you about the African blacks gonna come get involved, right? And I ain't talking about the other people, but the Mexicans gonna be involved, the Indians gonna be involved, the whole thing, because there's gonna be all that pressure on everybody, and everybody's fighting with everybody. It's going to be total chaos here in America. See? So they talking about diversity. That diversity is going to be their downfall. See? Because they're going to need cohesion. Because they're going to be at war with Europe. In Europe, which is going to tear their ass apart. And then China, India's coming down on them. And they're going to need cohesion. They ain't. Because they have nothing but diversity, division. That's what Jesus says. He ain't coming back with peace. He coming back with a sword. Division. Mother against daughter, father against son, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law. That diversity is going to be a monster in a minute. Because everybody's going to pulling in little what they call it, enclaves, right? See? Everybody's going to pull in their little group. That's what they was afraid of in Japan when Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. That's no story together. But they tried to got all the Japanese and put them in concentration camps because they feared that. But now you got all this diversity in America, and it's not going to be cohesive. The people's not going to work together. See? Especially the Chinese, they're going to see the Chinese come over. They're going to get together and say, they're going to be against America. They ain't going to defend America. The Indians ain't going to defend America. They're going to defend themselves. The Africans that come over, they're not going to defend America. They're going to be against themselves. They're going to fight. Everybody's fighting against each other. Let's move on. There's a lot more to say about that, right? But we're going to move on. Like I said, there's a lot of things I want to cover here. Forgive. Forgive. Now, what are they telling you? See, Farrakhan said, you need to forgive. You need to be forgive. For all the shit that we went through the last 20 years. Forgive, forgive, forgive. You're going to be like Jesus, forgive, forgive, forgive. Is that what the Bible says? Is that what Revelation, because Revelation is supposed to be revealed at the end. Daniel and Revelation be revealed at the end. And that's the revelation of God, right? To how, what's supposed to happen. Is that what he say? I mean, read chapter 8 says, doing to them as they've done to you. Give them a double portion. He says, retaliation, the days of vengeance, wrath upon these people. Where do you see forgiveness in there? I guess after they're dead, you forgive them. So you're talking, we forgive. That's what Pharaoh saying. Why he's saying? Because he's a demon. That means a black-faced devil. He want to try to tickle some forgiveness. He wants to forgive them. So he's trying to that's all. See, 2020, that was the year that should have got you. But it didn't, because Farrakhan was there to deceive you. Because on Elijah Muhammad, you would have had that one. 1619 to 2019, 40 years, that's Abrahamic covenant that you don't know about, because Farrakhan, he does, when he does talk about it, he don't talk about the top part, he don't talk about the other part. And the last person really talked about it that was on the national scene was Martin Luther King, and they blow his brow the next day, told him don't talk about it, and the preachers don't talk about it no more. They talk about it back during 100 years ago, they don't talk about it no more. I'm talking about Abraham Company going home. Martin Luther King was the last one, he blew his brains out the next day, told him don't do it. See? They don't want you to know that. So don't talk about it. See? Because 2020 brought it all home. Because it says Abraham covenant for 400 years, and their official date of 1619 to 29, and Farrakhan tried to blur that because he got busted because he didn't see COVID coming. So he tried to say, no, it started 1555. Yeah, we came in 1555, but Elijah Muhammad taught that, and they said themselves, and they on record, that we didn't start slavery until 1619 because there's 64 years of repairs for it. See, so Farrakhan, no, go back to 1555 because he got busted. He didn't see it coming because he claims a prophet. So that means 2020 says it'd be then God would judge this nation, and that would be the plague. That would be the first of 10 plagues. It's 9 plagues that's referred to the Armageddon. It's one plague that starts off this whole situation in 2020, because it said it'd be a plague that will kill the firstborn. That means the elderly, and pass over you. That means we're passing over us, all the black people, and that's exactly what happened. But they try to tell you, oh man, y'all dropping like flies, and that was a lie, because all you gotta do is Google the World Health Organization. They put out a paper a little over a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, saying that they couldn't understand why it wasn't affecting Black Africa or Haiti or any place where most black folks live. But yeah, we was dropping like flies. That was a lie. They don't talk about that anymore, do they? Because it was a lie. But if false Israel over there had been passing over them, then they would, oh man, see, man, look, man, that's the scripture. But when it passes, they try to hide it. They hiding all this stuff from you. Because that's why everything changed. Now they got a different attitude towards you and everything else. Because they're trying to figure out a way to get out from under this hell that they see coming. It says men's hearts be failing for fear of those things coming upon the earth, because the powers of heaven be shaken. Now how in the hell the men on the earth could be fearing for what's happening in heaven, if heaven's way out there beyond some other dimension, way beyond the stars and everything else? How could they be hearts failing for something that's way out beyond their sight, behind their awareness? Because heavens represents Europe, Middle East. And who has power in the Middle East right now? America, Britain, and false Israel. And their powers be broken. That means that's shaken. And when they see that, because they see the beginning of that, they see their hearts failing at that point from the anxiety. Well, this is what happened in 2020. It wasn't that intense yet, but it's about to be that intense because everybody got nervous then. Because they saw, the Jews knew it because they cleansed the history, Exodus. But all other people knew it, and they got nervous. Because they know, okay, now it's judgment time. Because that plague came right on time, just like it said. But they didn't want you to know it. So they had a different attitude now. Everybody knows about reparations. They want to pay you off. Because they pay you off, and you know, God said, okay, you already paid the price for this Lamborghini. Right? And so now he's coming to give you a Lamborghini. Before he gets here, right, some slick salesman like Farrakhan, Legion, Louis Eugene Brown, NOI backwards, the demon, father of the son of a devil. Hey man, why don't you go ahead and take this BMW, man? Because that's too expensive, man. You got to go over here to get it, right? And then all the insurance is gonna cost you, and the maintenance, you got to get it right and stuff. Man, you get this BMW, man. It's a nice car. It's got status, and you ain't got none of those problems, man. It's not nowhere expensive, right? And you don't have to worry about, and if he sell it to you, then when the God shows up, say, hey, the devil say, hey man, wait a minute, we paid him off. He took the BMW instead. You see? So now you don't lost the Lamborghini because you took payment for something else. Because God honors contracts. That's one of the schemes they got. They got a lot of other schemes. That's one of them. See? They would have gave reparation a long time ago, one for Elijah Muhammad, because they need full compliance. They can't have some people say no, because those people still would have to get the reward, and that means they still would be under judgment. So when they tell them, you forgive, like Farrakhan, we can't treat them like they treat us. Is that what it says there in chapter 18? It says, doing them as done to you. Say, give them double. Because Farrakhan's always falling the defense of devils because he's one of them. He's kissing on them. Don't call them devils no more. You don't get it? And now he's supposed to be our Messiah? Just Google his bio. Just Google it. It says his father's name is Percival Clark. He's a devil. And people say, well, man, they say he's a Jamaican. That was his nationality. Just like they might call you American here because that's your nationality. It's not your ethnicity. See? There's even a short picture of him. The devil. So you want to forgive. That ain't what God says. God ain't telling you to forgive. He commanded you. He commanded you to first come out. And that was their fear. That war would break out and we would join on to the enemy and fight against them and then flee the land. Farrakhan, he's one of them. He said, no, we ain't going. We didn't unmark. Please don't make us leave the country. He don't want to leave. He wants to stay with his devil masters. Devil, because that's people. That's why he wants to stay with them. Because they're leeching off us. They're parasites. America's a predator nation, and they're all parasites, including demons. They're just like their parent. They're they slave master seed. The chaff in the seed, which that parable's all about. You understand, brothers and sisters? It's a command. It says, doing them as done to you. Give them double. So you want to forget them? Fine. You stay here with them. We're not going to drag you out here. If you don't want to go back and get your inheritance, you can stay here. Nobody's going to force you to do it. We're just going to deprogram your ass. We're going to short circuit your programming to give you a chance to make a valid decision. Because that's one of the problems, brothers and sisters. We're going to talk about that right here. One of the problems is that your brain, unless you got a diseased brain or something, right? Your brain works mathematically, works logically. The problem is the information that comes in. Because your brain can only calculate the information based on the information it gets. So they've been controlling your information for the last 400 years. That's why you need one, but they control the information that you got. Read the thing about Willie Litch or whatever his name was. They control the information you get. So you're making bad decisions because you got bad information. That's why it says those books was locked, sealed. So they say, because they couldn't, you can't tamper something that's sealed because you got to understand the nature of the seal. See? So the books are revealed That's why it was sealed down to be revealed. So now you have proper information for those you want information. Because right now, part of your programming, your Negro Buck programming, is not listening to anything that comes from anybody except Massa. Especially if it comes from a black man. See, because they show you a picture of Jesus. He got, he white, and they got a lot of white folks walking around looking like Jesus, right? How come you ain't following them? But and they know that's a lie. They know that's a lie. I ain't making up. That's a lie. That part of this, you got Billy Graham's son out there in Africa saying, I don't think he would say it here in America. He's out in Africa saying, but no, boy, he got more tapes doing it. He said, well, the truth is that the real Jesus, right? The real Jesus. Why is it got to be real? What about the one you got in the photograph? It looks like y'all. Because he came from this part of the world. He grew up in Egypt. Read the story. Where did Jesus grow up in Egypt? So if he's hiding up from Herod in Egypt and he was white and everybody in Egypt black, how is that hiding out? So anyway, talking about status quo here. So they control the information that goes in. And they want to maintain status quo. All the nations want to maintain status quo. I'm not going to go in detail about that because I could talk a long time about that. But all the nations have a vested interest in keeping things like they are. Because they're all living off you. All of them. From China, India, false Israel, the Sunnis, devils, the demons. They're all living off of you. See? False Israel got rich by stealing your identity. Because they claim their seed. Isn't it interesting that all these nations are calling themselves the seed of Abraham? The false Israel saying they the seed of Abraham. You got the Sunnis saying they seed of Abraham, which they are, but they're not the inheritors. They're Shia. There's Ishmael. Isaac was inheritor. That's where they trade him. They started Joseph, right? Then you got Europeans. They claim they're the spiritual seed of Abraham. Everybody's making that claim. Why is all these countries making the claim? Why is all the foreign policy and everything based on that idea? See? And then China and India, they're getting rich off of the jobs that come from innovation from here. And the off the AI, the computer intelligence that came out of here. All this coming out here, and everybody's getting rich off of it. And demons, they're living off of us. They're the politicians and whatever, right? They was living off us. See? And we getting the shit, and they getting the gold. And so they want to maintain the status quo. They don't want things change. They don't want you leaving here. They don't want you getting upset. They want you to stay in status quo. See, but the problem is status quo is going to change because now you guys AI, and they come to the realization they can artificial intelligence. They won't need you anymore. See, that's what they're trying to build: artificial intelligence, artificial creativity. They won't need you anymore. So what do you think happens then? Because see what happened when they need you no more. When they went to the Industrial Revolution, they give you anything? No, they threw you in a damn ditch. You had to figure a way out of it with no food, no clothing, anything. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Everything is to maintain status quo because they saw exactly what happened in 2020. They knew exactly what that meant. They just don't want you to know. So now they try to figure their way out of it. But they want to maintain status quo, right? But it says those plagues, they were designed to force them to let you leave out here. And when you left out here, you plundered them because you took your creativity with you. That's the 9 plagues. I got a whole presentation speaking about that. So look it up. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Status quo, they want to maintain it, all the nations. And the status quo means that they're right, that they're getting the gold and you're getting the shit part of the cycle, recycle. They're getting the steaks and you're getting the shitlings. See? Now I got one more here, brothers and sisters, and I think that should be it. I'm really shortening this. Oh, well, I didn't. So I forgot. So let me go ahead and. I was talking about this in the sense of. Let's talk about. It's a different. Let's talk about sensibilities. Now. You got this so-called culture that came out of European culture, Western culture, right? Now, this whole reality comes out of their brain waves. I mean, the pressure waves, right? Because that's thought. Thought is pressure. Pressure waves, you see, like this wave, it's pressure waves. that gets formed. Because you have to give form to something. Energy doesn't take form by itself. It takes brain, it takes thought to give it form. So the universe has form because we gave it form. And we move into the future because we create the future. That's how you move through time, right? We don't move through time, we create time. Because if all energy is stagnant, is dormant, is just standing inert, then there's no time. So once you start changing, of course, energy is changed from one form to another, now you're creating time. See? So the God is creating time. He's the God of this season. He's the God of this time period. He's creating time. And the high priest, his job is to be amongst the people that show him how to keep pace with the God. Because if you don't, then you're lost in time, and you're the material that's used to create new time. You tear a building down, you want to build a new building, so you use the material from the old building to create the new building. So if you're not keeping pace with the God, that means you are lost and stuck in the past, and that means you're the material that make the present. Because the present right now is made from material from the past. The past no longer exists. You want to see the past? It's a material that right now that's all around us that we took and transformed into this reality. And now the God is using this material, this reality, to transform into a new reality. So that I will make all things new. Make them. He said create. I will make all things new. That means he taken in this reality and give it a new form. And that's what the high priest here to make you aware of that, and then show you how and to set the example and show you how to keep pace with the God. Otherwise, you're lost in the past. That means you're part of the material. You're the fuel for the fire to bring it to new reality. But you have this little thing called sensibilities, because everybody has sensibilities, because it's based on your nature. So in other words, how you feel about things, right? Now, for instance, in China, eating dog, that's no big deal. That's no big deal there. Eating dog, that's a delicacy. But Europeans, they love dogs. It's a matter of sensibility. See? So when China was killing dogs, they were, oh man, they're killing them dogs over there. But don't you kill cows and horses and stuff over here? Eat them? See? So what's the difference between you killing them? Because how do you kill cows? You know how they kill cows? They don't give them a drug, or they don't come and say, hello, kitty. Right? A little cow, moo, moo, moo. No, they put him in the chute. The chute come down, and they take a big sledgehammer and knock his brains out. That's how they kill cows. So how is that worse than they killing dogs over China, just beating the dog down? You see? Sensibilities. But they want to oppose their sensibility to everybody else. And their sensibility is different from ours. Like the whole sensibility about transgender and all that kind of stuff. That's their sensibilities. They ain't ours. But they want to force on us. They want to make laws that we have to accept their sensibilities. That's why another reason why you get away from them. It's sensibilities. So eating pork. Some people, hey man, they had to force our children when they come over here to eat pork because it was against our very nature to even do it. They couldn't get the children to do it. That's why it came this thing called sugar daddy. I don't know if they still sell those things now, but where it came from is take soft pork. If those you in the South know about soft pork is, they put a little stick in it and dip it in molasses, and the kid be sucking on molasses. Eventually, you get to the pork. That's how they broke them into it. See, so in other words, if you stay here, not only you eating shit, but now you got to accept their sensibilities. That's against you. And so you have to go along with it, or it's against the law. Because now, right, if you go and you say something about transgender, you lose your job. Right? Right? And you lose everything else because you don't go along with that. Something wrong with you. So in other words, there's something wrong with you because you have a different sensibility than they have. And we do have it with different people. I was at the gym last week, and this dude, this that we were, I went to the men's room, I came back, and he, hey man, you still working on the machine? My stuff is on the machine, man. I got to answer a stupid ass question. You see my towel and everything's on the machine. Are you still working the machine? I ain't answering. So I got on the machine working. Now I'm working on the machine, right? Pressing, right? Are you still on the machine? Don't you see I'm on the machine, dummy? I ain't ask you a question. But see, devils, man, that's one of the worst thing you can do is ignore them. Believe me, that's the worst thing you can do, ignore them. Because we still supposed to be slaves. And we are slaves. But see, we're supposed to obey master. And everything they say goes. They won't tell you that, but you look in their eyes. I'll tell you another story in a minute that I'm going to close out. But look in their eyes. Listen to him. So he got pissed off because I ignored him. So then he come in my face. Hey, man. He waved his hand like, hey, right in front of my face, about a feet away from my face. Hey, man, you still working on the machine? You still working? How many sets you got? So I'm still ignoring him. Hey, man, can't you do it about 2 or 3 minutes? Hey, man, how many sets you got? I'm still ignoring him. I ain't got to answer your dumb questions. Get the hell out of here and leave me alone. So I don't say that to him, right? So then he walks over next to, right, because there's another machine right next to it. After that, another machine was empty. Exact same machine. Hey, man, what's wrong with you, man? You rude. Then I said something to him. I said, man, you better get the hell out of my face. You rude, man. I said, I told you, get the hell away from me. Don't talk to me like that. I said, well, stop talking to me then. They stupid. But that's their sensibilities because they think they're superior. As long as you're here, you ain't going to never be happy. Because you got to accept this right now. Homosexuals wrong, taking over the place like the Bible says. You talking about that's the past. That's the future. You see it happening right now in America right now. It's like this 666 thing. They're telling you the power of this beast will be 3 of them together. And said the power will be in, and you can buy or sell unless you obey them or unless you recognize the one in the center and right to exist. That's false Israel. They will either kill you or they stop you from buying and selling. Ain't that what America's doing? America's the only country on the planet doing that. Sanctions, stopping you from buying and selling. But they got you so confused you can't see it right in front of your face. It ain't no mark, no 66 put on you. It ain't a mark. You think some kind of mark. America's, that's what they're doing. Anybody don't do what they tell them to do. Anybody goes against false Israel, they either evade them or they sanction them. You stop from buying and selling. See? So I said one more thing I'm going to say, right? You know, I had my little journey out in Guam. Some people know about that, right? And they threw me in jail and stuff. There was a whole bunch of BS. Read the story of Jonah. So this guy comes in here. He's probably my public defender or whatever, right? You know. So now see, Raheem's my name, right? So he had never seen me. He had no pictures of me or anything, right? So he walks to the jail, and then he see me sitting there because he looked around first, and you see, you know. And so I was the only one sitting there, right? Except the guard was over there. So he said, you Raheem? Yeah. He said, yeah, but you black. Then he caught himself. You see? What me being black got to do with anything? That's what I'm saying. When you first deal with them, you first meet them, always look in their eyes. Because that moment, you find what they really think about you, then they correct themselves and hide it. I think about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, whatever, that Supreme Court Jewish woman, right? She died, and the reporter didn't report what she was saying about black people, because they said she didn't want black people to be angry at her, you know. So she hid, and then it came out. Was she really Ruth Bader Ginsburg, whatever her name was, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, whatever? Turned out, came out, what she really think about black people? Well, she better wake up. Sensibilities. They have different sensibilities than us. So if you want to live in a country that's totally against the way you see things, the way you feel about things, your children got to grow up in that. They teach your children about homosexuality and everything in 2nd, 3rd grade. If you're happy with all that stuff, it's going to get worse. I told you it's going to get worse. I said, 10, 15 years ago, all they want is all we want is just be recognized. I said, why? That's a camel sticking his nose into the tent. Next thing they know, he's going to be in the tent shitting, right? Next thing they know, when arrangement of some kind of marriage, right? See? Then they want a real marriage. See? Then they want, before it's people to sell them stuff. Then they want this, that. So, and now, right? Now they want to teach everybody. Now transgender, you can claim you sell sex and they have to go along with it. And you can't say nothing. Where do you think this is going, brothers and sisters? You better read this book. It said it got so bad in the Bible, and Sodom got so bad that the judges were setting up court out in the street. Setting up court out in the street. And when you walk by, it says it in there, when you walk by, right, then you would have to, they would grab you and you have to commit a homosexual act with one of them, right, to prove that you wasn't homophobe. They said how bad it got. Now, if that's to mean that literally, I don't know. I hadn't thought about it, right? But that's it. But it's just giving you an idea how bad it got. And you see it's getting that way right now. Because you got to be careful what you say. And now you can be anything you want to be. You can be a male and today and be a female tomorrow. Remember, not too long ago, this guy was going in, he said he was a female, so he put on a female dress. Then he was going to female restroom and raping the women, the girls in there. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm going to leave it there. We talk about a lot of things. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. See, we're going home. Those of you that want to go home, but you got 2 trips. You got those in the Lamb's Book of Life. They're going first class. That's the ones Master Prophet Muhammad going to deliver. They're going first class. It's the ones you're going to deliver. It says that your name had to be in the Lamb's Book of Life. So you better know who the Lamb is. Farrakhan ain't got no Book of Life. If he ain't told you anything about it. Silas got one. T.J. Jakes got one. Billy Graham got one. See? The only one have they broke the 7 seals? The only one broke 7 seals is me, myself, and I can prove it. So if you in that book, see, because Master Prophet Muhammad just provides the transportation, right? It says the Lamb is a ticket master. He has to certify you. Just like on a train, you have a conductor. He don't worry about who's on a train, because the only one to get on a train is got to get a ticket master. He can make sure you got a ticket. The only thing he care about, you got a ticket. You got a ticket, you get on a train. You ain't got no ticket, you can't get on a train. That's where it is, brothers and sisters. So you have what? If you don't, you ain't going nowhere. And this is going to happen pretty soon. See, because it's going to be terrible. It's going to get terrible here in a minute. And you don't want to be here. And then those left behind, read Daniel. And then, after they was living, then some of those in the dust woke up. Then they woke up. But then they got to go through tribulation before they delivered. That's a year of tribulation. That's a scenic route. See, and that's just a second chance, right? That's a hell of a second chance, like a makeup test. See, hope you understand, brothers and sisters. And I'm gonna say one last thing here, brothers and sisters. If I need you to understand this, don't sit on it. Don't sit on it. Pass it on. Take the link and pass it on to other people. Ask them to do the same thing. Get the information out. See, it ain't gonna hurt you. Don't cost you nothing. We don't. It's a free gift. Read Revelations, the angel. It's a free gift. We don't charge nothing here. And we don't tell you to do anything, right? We just give you information. See, once you get the bit, your brain was designed to process properly, but it's based on the information you get. If you got bad information, you're going to come with bad decisions. We're giving the correct information. So now you can make correct decisions. And it doesn't cost you anything, nothing, zero. And nobody's telling you what to do because we're not looking for followers here. We're looking to control anybody here. Anybody that's worked with me tell you that. We don't control anybody. We don't tell anybody what to do. Right? We give information, and hopefully, to your benefit, that you know how to process. Because if you don't know how to process information, you ain't going nowhere. Because you still got to be certified. See? Because we ain't no demons are going, and no vipers are going. And anybody's trying to, that's hiding this truth, or trying to disrupt it, right, or block it, they ain't going either, because the blood of those people that are lost will be on their hands. My people are lost because of lack of knowledge. Their blood will be on their hands. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Let me check on my audio, and then we're going to close out. Okay, for my audio audience, this is the Black Alert segment on the Fire Zone. Fire Zone out. And you, brothers and sisters, hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Let me see here. Let me change this a little bit here. Okay, I'll leave it like that. Okay, brother, so like I said, pass on. Pass information on. Don't cost you a dime. Don't hurt anything. No. Pass information on, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. Assalamu alaikum.